Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Welcome to another episode of Quilting on the Side. We are thrilled to introduce to you Kate Hay, Quilting with Miss Kate. So glad you could join us today.
So glad to be here. I'm very excited to talk quilty business.
Yes, it just from your bubbly personality online, it feels like we've known each other a really long time. So I'm glad we have this chance to have a conversation in real time. And we always like to start out. Kate, tell us how you started quilting, how it became a business.
Yeah, so I started, my brother and I were homeschooled. And so growing up, my mom was always just like, let's learn everything we can about everything we can. And so when I was 12, she and I took a quilting class. And so we're first generation quilters is what I call it. She did not teach me. I did not teach her. We learned together. And my first ever quilt, we went to this lady's house. We were just in her basement and she just had these like really big like coffee table books of quilts. And she was just like, flip through and pick one you want. And at my ripe old age of 12, I thought the most beautiful quilt ever made was a Dresden plate made out of 30s on a unbleached muslin background. And we made templates out of cardboard. And then I would put those down and like draw around them. And then I hand cut like 150 blades with scissors. And I'm a left-handed person. I think I cut them all with right-handed scissors. And then I hand pieced them with silk thread. And then I hand appliqued them down as a twin size quilt. And that was my first ever quilt 12 years ago. And now 12 years ago, I'm not 24. That like 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you asked me to do that now, I'd be like, no, that sounds hard. But like
Right.
at 12, I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Serious dedication.
I mean, I think it's just being 12 and being like, I'm unstoppable.
Right.
And so 12-year-olds are unstoppable. And then it became a business for me 9 weeks ago.
Or
so like the end of this month will be 3 months.
June, since we're recording in August, but the episode will air later in the fall. So you started in June of 2024 as your quilt shop?
The first week of June. The last week of May, I sold finished quilts to be able to fund my next week of buying fabric.
Well, that is the
and
way
I sold
to
like
do it.
everything we could. Yeah. And then I just sold random things we had around the house, like on Facebook Marketplace. And I just parlayed all that money into, I was like, babe, do you wear these pants?
Yeah.
Gone.
Yep.
Do we want this picture? Gone.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
But it's been a pretty, I'd say you're having a certain level of success with the kits that you offered.
So I don't know if this is week 9 or week 10, but so far everything has sold out every single time. And I keep thinking it's a fluke. And so every week it's like decorating for a party and you're like, I hope people show up to the party. And then people show up to the party and I'm like, who knew? And all my friends and everyone who's known me the past 22 years of quilting are like, this was inevitable. And every week I'm just like, whoa, guys, it might not be a fluke, but we'll check again next week because maybe it was a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds so fun. I'm just amazed at well, it looks amazing from the outside in terms of, like you said, having a drop every week. What's your production timeline behind the scenes? Because it would be really close to impossible for me to go from fabric to a finished quilt in a week.
Yeah, it depends on the week. So I'm trying to start to get ahead, but up until this point, I do it week by week. Or like tomorrow is our Gilmore Girls drop. And so I have one quilt kit and then like one type of quilt kit. And then I have 4 pouch kits. And the confetti and the stickers I need for the pouch kits arrived like 2 hours ago. So I made the samples like an hour ago. And then after this, it's like it'll be like 8:30 at night, and we'll take pictures for tomorrow. Like true psychopaths.
Yeah. Dedication
so
to the
yeah,
business.
but I'm trying to get ahead because that's non-sustainable.
Right.
Are you a fast
production
quilter?
team? You need some the little elves in the workshop to help you out.
Yeah.
I think I might get a little elf later this month because, like I said, so I had 5 samples for this week and then I cut 100 kits. And I did it all myself. And so, so exhaustion is a real thing that I'm dealing with. Am I a fast quilter, Tori? Yes, I am very fast because for 8 years, I actually worked at my mom's shop. So she has a quilt shop and I was the head of like kits and samples and things there. And so I am very used to having to knock out samples very quickly. And so I so like the wind bullseye.
Yeah. So you brought that prior experience into what you wanted to do. That's amazing.
Yes.
What
and
made
your
you...
mom still has a go ahead, Tori.
Well, what made you move from hobby to business 9 weeks ago?
So so why 9 weeks ago was actually when we moved to Texas. So now we live in Austin. Before that we were living in Maui in Hawaii. And I had looked at starting a shop while we were out there, but shipping both to and from Maui made things just like cost prohibitive, right? Because literally Hawaii is the most isolated place on earth. So it wasn't even just like getting things to people on the mainland, like having any of the fabric manufacturers or pattern designers or anything ship things out there, like my prices just wouldn't be able to compete with anyone on the mainland. Also, we lived in 500 square feet, and so like we would have died.
And I forgot my question, something about, your mom, she still has the shop, right?
Yes. So my mom is Cynthia at Patchwork Plus in Dayton, Virginia, which is Virginia's largest quilt shop. And so it is right across the street from a cow field. So if you see a bunch of cows, you might be there. And so I worked there and managed the storefront for 8 years. Before I actually then got picked up by Moda and Ruby Star, and I was a fabric rep for them in the Southeast. And then I met the love of my life, and then we moved to Hawaii. And so I've been in fabric for a while now. It just keeps getting better, to be honest.
And you mentioned getting a helper. And we had your husband here helping with equipment just a minute ago to help us get all set up so we could hear and see you. Do you have any help other than your husband?
No, I don't. So it is all me. I make all the content. I respond to everything. I do all the product descriptions. I order all the fabric and the goodies, and I cut it all. I ship it all. I am a one-woman show except for photography. And Alex helps with the internet because I am not an internet.
And I did say husband. But, I meant fiance because I know you're talking about having a wedding later this year, right?
Oh my God, yes. I hate wedding planning so much. Starting a quilt business is so much more fun. Wedding planning is like the bane of my existence. But that's okay. We're not here to talk about that.
We wish you all the best, and I'm sure it will be a wonderful day because it looks like you guys are a good match. So um,
Yes, right guy
tell
for sure.
Alex that I am pushing for the Quilt with Miss Kate YouTube channel because I love his behind the scenes business videos that he's done for you.
He's so good.
So you've been running your business all by yourself. You've got all these years of experience from working in a brick and mortar with your mom. What are your plans? Do you want to continue doing kind of weekly kits, or are you going to slow that process down? What do the next like 6 months look like?
Such a good question, because honestly, where I currently am was where I thought I'd be in like 18 months. Like I honest to goodness didn't think that it would go this well this fast. And it's a definite blessing that it is, but it then has shifted what all I'm like, oh, what could Quilt with Miss Kate be? Like, what could I offer the Quilt Besties? And so I definitely want to keep doing Friday drops. And like, fun fact, I started the whole Friday drop thing because I literally didn't have enough product to do anything else. So I was like, ooh, if I do Friday drops, then like I can kind of spread out what I have, you know?
Yeah.
And I still haven't received any of the fabric that I like pre-ordered. So every single thing that I have currently kitted or sold or anything has been from my personal stash, which was massive, or I've bought kind of what fabric companies like had in stock that like had been left behind by all the other quilt shops and been like, okay, what can I create with this? Because I just literally haven't even had product or the ability to finance new product, right? And so so in 6 months, like the goal would super be to pay for everything that I ordered from 6 months from now, because good Lord, I'm optimistic. But yeah, I super want to keep doing kits. I want to get into doing yardage. I haven't done any of that yet. I really just started doing back corner bundles. And so kind of in 6 months, I want to do what I guess all the other quilt stores are already doing.
Yep. Just grow up a little bit in terms of that baby business. Get on solid footing. That sounds great.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about social media, because that's where I was introduced to you. And I was introduced to you from a reel where you were talking about dressing like a swamp troll while you were quilting, which I absolutely identified with, and I loved it. And I'm sure, and I can see that other people also identify with that. And I see you on social media very often, and I'm wondering, do you have a plan for social media, or is that just your bubbly personality? Because it comes across so well and authentic and so fun. And I was just curious if you had a way to maybe help others that aren't as comfortable in front of the camera, and how you and your mindset and showing up in that authentic way.
So mine actually stemmed from like showing up on social media, like kind of at all stemmed from I lived in Maui and I was very, very far from other quilters. And because I had been a rep, because I had worked in quilt shops, I had just been used to being around quilters, and I love the quilt community and I love quilters. And so when I couldn't really find that in Maui, I was like, well, the only other option is to go on the internet and make internet friends, because I'm lonely and I want quilters. And so I too was like, actually my mindset was everyone who's good at like quilt social media already exists. They're doing it. They all look beautiful. Their stash is beautiful. They're organized. All their fabric is like pressed and on tiny comic board like boards, and it's all in a row behind them, like Belle's library of fabric. And I was like, there's no room for me and the quilt social media game. And so I didn't do it. And then when I was on Maui and I got so lonely for quilters, I was like, I don't have an option. Like I literally, if I'm going to have quilt friends, like I have to put myself out there. And I realized that me trying to do what other people do would be non-sustainable for me. Like I literally couldn't show up and keep doing it over and over. And I was like, the only thing that I will be able to do consistently, and the only way that I will be able to find real quilt besties that work in my life and that I work in their life, is if I'm just like unapologetically myself. And so there will always be people who are like, you know, I really like the people who have like the Belle comic books. And girl, me too. I think they're beautiful. Like inspiration, Pinterest. Woo. But like, you know, there's a heck of a lot of swamp trolls out there. So I just think like us swamp trolls like are finding each other. And, you know, I started talking about like having anxiety or depression as well. And so there's just a lot of us who have a lot more in common, but we haven't talked about it. And so for me, the mindset truly comes down to like, I wanted to find quilt besties. Like truly, I just wanted to find friends and I wanted to not be lonely. And I just did it anyway, even though it was awkward and everything. And, honestly, I think that that's what works. And I think that we're all created differently. And so if you show up as yourself, people are like, oh, there you are. That's what we needed, because that's who you're supposed to be.
Oh, I love that answer. Thank you, Kate, for being so open and sharing that.
I'm reminded of a story I saw about kind of a back to school activity where the teacher had someone say something they like, and then everybody that also, they did a Me Too game. And I feel like you've done the Me Too game online, saying, this is how I quilt. If you like it too, come sit by me and we'll be a group. Mm-hmm. And it's all about finding your people. So that's wonderful.
Exactly that. It's just about finding your people. And the only way you're going to find your people is if you show up as yourself.
Do you have like because I know I've been watching Badass Quilters as well, and she has certain times a day that she shows up on purpose, I think, to help with consistency. So I'm wondering, do you do something similar to help you stay consistent?
I try to post around 7:30-ish in the morning and then 7:30-ish in the evening, based on literally nothing. And I don't know anything about analytics. So, one of my friends who's in quilt world was like, hey, let's do this collab thing. Like, when's your most engagement hours? And I was like, what is an engagement hour? And they were like, well, when do people like engage on your post the most? And I was like, how do you know? And they're like, well, what's your analytics? And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I was just like, if I just send you my login info, can you like look it up and just tell me what time you want to meet? Because I'm not going to do it. And so, yeah, I just do it in the morning before I go to the gym and at night when I like eat dinner. And then I'm like, well, that's that.
I think that's the best way.
Once, because that's the Lord's day. So we're supposed to be resting.
Yeah. I think that's the best way. And I like our listeners to hear that you can make it as easy as trying to post before you leave for the gym and posting before you go to bed. And that can help you with consistency and showing up as yourself authentically without like the cardboard. I'm so envious as well. They're cardboard, like rows and rows of neat fabric. Like my bookshelf behind me has fabric falling out of it. And I'm always noticing it when someone has a beautiful background. So I just wanted to reiterate and thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, there's room for everybody. Not everyone who's gonna like do well on social media has arrived, which is what I thought. And I think that when social media first was getting big, that like people's super filtered, like super gorgeous lives was kind of the expectation and what people wanted to consume. And now I think people are like, well, that's not real. And so we just want more reality. We want more messiness. Like one of my favorite trends right now is like under consumption core. I just love watching that. And people are like, here's my makeup, and it's 4 things and they all look like they should be thrown away. And so just think that, yeah, it's a pendulum that swings, and thankfully it's just swinging towards swamp trolls.
Yeah, I love that we keep talking about swamp trolls. I love that.
Yep. That needs to be a t-shirt, Swamp Trolls Unite. So
I have it as a tank top and I have it as a mug on my Etsy. So
awesome.
Your wish is my
Yep. got to get those product tie-ins. We have 2 t-shirts in the shop that I think would also fit your situation. Mine says hashtag it's my mom's fault, because again, I'm in quilting because my mom opened a fabric store. And the other one says introverted but willing to discuss quilts. So those are available for anyone of similar mind.
I love to wear mine to my kids' soccer game.
And
so you
it's
mentioned
amazing how t-shirts will open the door to that conversation, because people will read what's on your shirt and then be invited to comment, and then you have a conversation, a new bestie.
you mentioned
Where are
working.
you getting your patterns, Kate? Are you collaborating with designers? Are you coming up with the quilt patterns yourself? What's going on with
Oh God, I hate writing quilt
that
patterns.
phase of the business?
I did it this week. I think that anyone who like when they read my quilt patterns will also like just feel my hatred for quilt patterns writing from me. I don't think anyone's gonna be like, man, she can do it all. That's not what's gonna happen. They're gonna be like, oh, limitations, they exist. But no, I'm getting to collab with a lot of designers. And at first I would just like reach out and kind of like be like, hey, I know you've never heard of me, but I love you, and so like, do you want to do something together? And now already it's kind of crazy, but already people are reaching out and be like, hey, I have this pattern coming out, do you think it would look good or whatever? And so yeah, it's been really fun. I also like, I mean, you know, I was out of the quilt shop game for a while between being a rep and then living in Hawaii. So there are patterns that I've always really liked, but haven't gotten to kit or make or anything. And so I'm going to kind of be going back for things that have been popular in the past, like 3 or 4 years that I never got to make. And so, and you know, there's always new quilters. And so maybe they didn't get to do it either. And so, yeah, there's just so many talented quilt designers that I'm just like, oh, I'll collab with everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I have to say that I was so tempted by the 100 Acre Wood collaboration that you're doing with Art East. That is going to be such a gorgeous quilt, but I had to take a look at my calendar and have a talk with reality. And since I can't fit any more into 24 hours, then I'm kind of stuck.
I hear you, but also if you change your mind and you get the kit from me, we have custom labels that I had made that are Winnie the Pooh, and a custom other gift that I don't know what it is yet because I haven't picked it up.
Yeah, you have time, but yes, that definitely is the factor that will push me over the edge. Is you have curated with all of your kits such wonderful personalization, and you know, those little details I think are really fantastic.
I really do approach every week as like golden rule, like do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And then like from a quilt bestie perspective, where I'm like, what would make me feel like so loved if someone took the time to do for me? And, you know, I started doing the pre-cut binding because I had made a reel where I was like, hey, what are the pain points of like the quilt process? And people were like, I hate cutting binding. And I was like, oh, I got you, girl. Don't worry about it. You don't ever have to cut binding again. And then the second thing on there was like, I really hate piecing backing. And so now I offer pieced backing kits. And then I was like, what would I do if like we were quilting in the same room? And I was like, well, we'd probably listen to music or watch Real Housewives. And I can't like tell you my like Peacock login so that we can watch Real Housewives together, but I can make you a playlist. And so then I make like playlists coming. So I have a kit coming out like next week, and it uses the pivot line from Ruby Star, and it's like got workout girls. And so the playlist is called Physical, and it's all like 80s workout music. And I can't wait. Like Olivia Newton-John's on there. We got some Paula Abdul. Like it's awesome. So good. And I listened to it the whole time I'm making the sample to see if it like flows, and it flows.
That's awesome. People need to get in on those drops and keep this going, because you definitely have a talent for making it the best party on the block.
You've mentioned a few times working with other people. What do you look for in the industry when it comes to collaborating with others?
I really primarily look for, I mean, obviously marketability, right? Like, because I want it to work for both of us. And then also, I just look for people who are open to working with others. My fiance works in real estate, and they're super collaborative. Like, everybody's like, anything I know, like, just ask. Here are my contacts. Here's what I paid for this. Here's just like very, very, very helpful. And then I have found in my experience that in quilt world, it's not the same. And there is some like, if you're successful, then I can't be successful. So like, let's just like draw that line right here. And I just don't believe that. I really, really think that if quilt world as a whole finds more success, that like rising tides lift all ships. And so I think the world needs more quilters. So like, heck yeah, let's collab. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely think that a primarily women-based industry, that more women should work together, need to encourage each other. And so I want the quilt industry to be like a beacon of people who are inclusive and people who are making money together and people who are creating together. And so I just look for similar souls to collaborate with.
I was about to say, I want to like wrap you up and put you in my pocket. Like, I just want to carry you around with me wherever you go. You're so much fun.
In the summer, I'm not coming up there in the winter. Freeze and die.
It's not too bad. Yeah. I'm having so much fun. I'm not going to lie. This is probably the hardest I've laughed on a podcast in a really long time.
Oh, that makes my heart happy.
Yeah, my cheeks are aching. I'm smiling so much. And for the audience, you have to get to Phoenix in February of 2025 because Kate's going to be at QuiltCon. It's in my neighborhood. Tori's going to come down and visit. You just got to be there. So
we actually moved our wedding so that I could be there because we were supposed to be getting married. And I was like, wait, it's QuiltCon. Like, can we move it? Like, it's just our wedding. It's fine, right? Like, I asked, QuiltCon won't move it. So, like, we should move our thing. So, we're moving our thing.
I love that.
Aw, what a sweetie.
It's okay. We already moved it once because he had a conference. So, like, yeah. So we're net neutral.
Exactly. Got to be fair. So,
yes, come to QuiltCon, see all three of us. Let's hang out until we get overwhelmed, and then let's all go to our separate corners and regroup, and then come hang out again.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a good meetup, but it'll be a very limited time because we only have so much energy to spend in public. So
it's my favorite thing about
we understand those limitations.
Yeah, you can literally be like, "Hi, I'm overstimulated." They're like, "Me too. Love you. Goodbye." Like, my people.
I think it is wonderful when someone has that self-awareness and just, like we've been saying, that with that authenticity, and you just, this is who I am, this is what I like, and there's no judgment or shame in any of it, because I am either traditional piecer or paper piecing. Everybody else can do applique to their heart's content. Great. Have fun with that. Not tempting to me at all. So, just lean into who you are.
Yeah, there's room for everybody.
Exactly. And when you speak up about what you like and what is your true self, you'll find your people. So we've mentioned that before. So that's a really good reminder.
Sorry, I'm just sitting here reflecting, and I'm just like, have I been showing up authentically? I'm such a quiet person that sometimes it's so hard to be like, am I being authentic? I think I am. And I know that there are listeners out there that probably have the same line of thinking where they've never been encouraged to be their full selves, especially in the public light. And I'm sitting here just reflecting on everything you've been talking about and remembering how you show up online and how fun it is. And I'm like, I want to be at least a little bit that fun. And it's inspiring to me. And I just wanted to say that.
Let me just tell you, okay, because most quilters are introverts, right? That's why we're in a sewing room by ourselves. Social media is literally made for introverts. You don't have to leave your house to like record something. Actually, most of the extroverts in my life and that I know are like, man, making content's really hard because there's no one to talk to. And I'm like, that's what makes it easy. Literally, no one's like, oh, like looking at you weird or like not responding. You're just literally talking to a phone. That like it's for introverts. So people are like, oh, I'm too introverted, I can't social media. Like, girl, yes you can. You could talk to nobody. It's okay. It's okay. So girl, you got this. Seriously. Just talk to your phone. It's not scary. It's not gonna do anything.
I think we're ready for rapid fire. So we always ask, we like to do the unexpected. So we don't ask favorite colors because that's what everybody does. So we ask, what is the color you struggle with incorporating in your quilts?
Greens, blues are kind of in there, but I'm definitely more of a pink, orange, yellow type girly. And so people keep asking for cool colored quilt kits, and I don't know how to do that. So green, cool colors is like my kryptonite of the moment.
Yeah. Well, they can come to True Blue Quilts, although I have a pinky purple one on today's video. But yeah, I'll do the cool side. You can be the warm side.
Perfect. Yes.
And do you like to work with yardage or pre-cuts?
I like to hoard pre-cuts like a pre-cut hoarding dragon. So I really love to hoard pre-cuts and then just stack them and stare at them and never use them. That is my favorite quilting pastime.
Yeah. Pet them, the fat quarter bundles that are all just so beautiful stacked up there. I hear that. And your favorite notion?
My favorite notion of the moment is definitely the zipper jig. Okay, my computer went crazy. Is the zipper jig. And so I have started making a lot of bag kits. So I use bag tape and zippers like that you have to then put on the zippers. And at first I would try to like tape the tape to the table, or I read somewhere that some people use a fork. And then my friend Missy over the little green bean was like, please promise me you'll never do that fork thing again. I was like, okay. She was like, you need a zipper jig. And so I bought one the same day and they are life changing. And so it's definitely the Gypsy Quilter zipper jig is my favorite of the moment.
Yes, those I don't do a lot of bags or things with zippers because that intimidates me still, but I can see how having the right tool would make your life so much easier. Just get it.
I did a live with her and we were making a zipper bag and she's like, all you need to do beforehand is put the zipper on the zipper tape. And it took me, I think, 50 minutes. And I almost texted her and was like, we can't do the live. I can't get this zipper on. And she's like, what have you tried? And I was like, I tried the fork thing. And she was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. I looked at the internet. And so now I'm not scared, but I really was like, without it, I was like, I'm never going to make a bag again. This is terrible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I was at a shop hop and they had a zipper jig as their demo. And yeah, I was like, okay, that might convert me to making bags. But
yeah, without that, cool. Just give up.
Yeah. So how many quilts do you have in the room or in your house with you right now?
Yeah, so there's none in this room because it's Alex's office, but we have 2 on our couch. We have one in our bedroom. We have another one in our chest in our living room. And then I have a ton in my office. So like, I don't know, altogether, like 1,000 million.
Which reminds me, I'm going to stick in another question. because I meant to ask this in the main body of our interview, but what are your plans for all the samples that you make for the kits? Because that's been my problem as a designer is I make the quilt, I have the sample, and I need it, for a while for photography and lectures and things, but my closet is full of all these old quilts.
I sell a lot of my quilts, and for some of the samples that aren't quilted, I'll just sell the quilt tops, and then all people have to do is then quilt it and it's like done. Which will be really good also for the people who kind of missed out on getting the kit. That way they still have the quilt if they want it. My mom and I actually started quilting seriously back in the day because she started Prayers and Squares at our church, which is a ministry that gives quilts away, and they have then ties in them, and then people tie prayers into them. As they say a prayer, they tie a knot. And so a lot of ours also, even though I am not involved with my church doesn't do it, but I still donate to churches that do it, because there's only, I don't know, we make quilts so that they'll be loved. And so we're not trying to I'm not trying to keep them all. Also, I live in an apartment. I literally can't keep them all.
Right. So. Yeah. And that'll be another whole episode, is selling quilts, because I have so many questions on strategies and stuff. Because my quick explanation is that it seems like there's a different audience for people who will buy a finished quilt versus people who will buy the pattern to make it themselves. And I haven't found a good way to market to both of those. So, but like I said, topics for future episodes and other discussions. What is the most rewarding part of your business?
The most rewarding part of Quilt with Miss Kate is the honor of people trusting me with their stories. And the fact that I get messages daily, and some people I've really become close with, or some people have really, I don't know them very well personally yet, but they really identified with me. And just the honor of getting to hear people's stories and hear people, what they share, is just a blessing I'll never get over.
Yeah, that we hear from a lot of business owners that the best part is the community and the people that they're able to get to know as we share this love of quilting. So that's fantastic. And then we always like to hear who is inspiring you these days. And it can be anything going on in your life. Where are you finding inspiration?
So I'm finding inspiration, of course, on just Instagram, because that's primarily where I am, of anyone who's doing anything scrappy, because I'm not a scrappy person by nature. And so I'm learning. And so getting to watch other people who are just, it seems like naturally good at scrappy, I'm just constantly impressed by. One of those people is So Mary Happy. And she actually lives, probably people know her for her strawberry quilts, but she's like a scrappy master in my mind. And when I moved to Texas, I didn't realize she lives like an hour and a half away. And so now we get together for monthly sew dates, and we just sew and talk about quilt world. But she inspires me with her work, but she's also just one of the most kind and giving humans I know. And so I will always say that I'm inspired by So Mary Happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Making those online connections and then having them translate into a real life friendship is really cool. So I'm glad that has worked out and that you are building a wonderful life in Texas. So remind people where they can find you, Kate.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Quilt with Miss Kate. Miss is MISS. A lot of people think it's Quilt with Mistakes, which kind of goes with my whole like vibe. And so a lot of people will be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were Miss Kate. I thought it was Quilt with Mistakes." And I'm like, "Well, you know what? The brain sees what it wants." And so it could be interchangeable, but it's actually at Quilt with Miss Kate, and the website is the same name, so www.quiltwithmisskate.com, and we do drops every Friday.
That is awesome. And it has been so fabulous. Tori joins me in saying thank you so much. It's been fabulous to spend this time with you. We're so appreciative. And we just wish you all the success in the world. And we can't wait to see what comes next for you.
Oh, thank you. This has been so fun. And I'm so excited to get to meet you guys at QuiltCon. And until then, I'll be listening.
Awesome. Thanks so much. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.